For you, is the House Oversight Committee expecting to receive new bank records and FBI documents this week as it presses forward into the investigation into the Biden family's business dealings. And over the weekend, former President Trump says his indictment proved to be a cover-up for Biden's alleged bribery scheme.
Crooked Joe Biden pressed deranged Jack Smith to do this fake indictment on me in order to take the pressure off the fact that they caught Joe Biden stealing $5 million, and that's just the beginning.
Joining us now to discuss this, former Arkansas governor and two-time presidential candidate, Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, a pleasure to have you in today, sir.
Governor.
Great to be with both of you. Thank you.
Let's get your reaction to some comments that were made by Congressman Andy Biggs. Of course, he sits on the House Oversight Committee, really pivotal to all of this. He spoke to Newsmax about the next steps we may be seeing in the bribery investigation.
We continue to accumulate evidence. So we're going to get more bank records this week. We are supposed to be receiving more 1023s, which are these reports from the FBI. We're supposed to be getting those this week. We're kind of inundated now. And a lot of people say, well, where are you going? Where are you going? Well, we've gotten more done in about 4.5 months than the Department of Justice did in more than 4.5 years.
Without a lot of help from the Treasury Department, as you know, and the FBI stonewalling on those 1023s. Your reaction to the pace of this, Governor, and what we could be learning now in the coming days?
Well, Bianca and Sean, I mean, let's face it, the hits just keep coming. The more evidence that shows up, the more it becomes clear that there's some real issues that have to be delved into by Congress because the media doesn't have the guts to do it. And that's a shame. I mean, it's just amazing that none of the major networks or the big media outlets like Washington Post, New York Times, they don't care. And how could they not care that a sitting president, while vice president, took millions of dollars in business deals that his son arranged, while all the time running for president, he lied about it and said he never knew anything about his son's business dealings and that his son was the most honest and smartest person he ever knew. I mean, this is going somewhere, and I think it's very important that the American people tune into it. And let's just hope that the Republican members of Congress continue to show the fortitude to find out what really happened. And obviously, there's a lot going on. I mean, there's more bank records than there are mosquitoes in Arkansas right now.
And there's a lot of mosquitoes in Arkansas, from what I hear, Governor.
Yes, there are.
It's great to see you again, by the way. It's been a while. We used to do a lot together on another network that will remain unnamed. But Governor Huckabee, great to see you. So yeah, I mean, look, it's been crickets from the major, from the kind of mainstream legacy media. That they've been full court press on the indictment and everything having to do with that. But this story and the Biden and the money from China and Ukraine, really crickets. That said, though, as far as the indictment, I want you to listen to how Trump's 2024 GOP challengers are reacting to the indictment, and then I want to get your thoughts about the sound bites. Listen here.
I don't think that's what the Constitution intends in giving the president the pardon power. But most importantly, it would be inappropriate, unseemly, and although I can certainly see a Donald Trump doing that.
That indictment lays out some very, very disturbing facts.
I don't know why some of my competitors in the Republican primary presume the president will be found guilty.
So Chris Christie, look, he's been probably the most vociferous critic of Donald Trump. But, that in mind, according to a new poll by JL Partners in the Daily Mail, 50% of those who were surveyed say the Trump indictment was politically motivated. So, Governor, what do you think of the stance that the candidates are taking? Do you think it'll help or ultimately hurt their 2024 campaigns?
Well, the smart play is being done by Vivek Ramaswamy, who has said he would pardon the president if he were found guilty of these ridiculous charges that have been thrown against him. It's absurd. And everybody who's ever looked at Jack Smith's career, look at a guy that was overturned by the Supreme Court 8-0 on the Bob McDonnell case in Virginia. He has a long litany of just being a political attack dog, but not much else. And why anybody takes this whole thing as if it's so very critical, including the fact that, look, and I get it, there's a grand jury indictment, but a grand jury only hears one side of the story. And in addition to that, there were pieces of the story they heard that may get thrown out because the prosecutor was forcing Donald Trump's attorneys to essentially violate attorney-client privilege. I'm just not sure that any appellate judge is going to look at that and say, yeah, that's all fine. Let's just erase due process and presumption of innocence and make it so that a person can't even speak to his or her attorneys. I mean, those are fundamental laws of jurisprudence in this country that we typically respect.
Sure.
So one thing that's assured, Donald Trump's numbers keep going up. And the more that he's attacked, and I say it's like Wile E. Coyote going after Roadrunner. Every time Wile E. Coyote comes up with another Acme bomb, it blows up in his face and the Roadrunner scoots away. And I think we continue to see that now.
Yeah, his number and campaign contributions, too.
Absolutely.
As well.
And referring to those notes that you said from his attorney, Evan Corcoran, there's a chance his legal team could get all of that suppressed. There's also a chance that this isn't anything to do with the 1917 Espionage Act. It is the Presidential Records Act, which is civil. So a lot to, see how it plays out with the legal strategy. Putting that aside this week, I want to get your reaction because Governor tomorrow, Special Counsel John Durham is set to testify behind closed doors, but he'll be in open testimony Wednesday. These are for two committees of the House. Of course, his report found the FBI had no basis at all to even launch the Russia collusion investigation into Donald Trump's campaign. Now, we know when the report came out about a month ago, some say they were upset it took 4 years and that there is no accountability. So here we will watch Durham testify as we look at the players in all of this, how complicit they were. What are you hoping could happen this week as he sits in front of Congress and in front of the American people?
Well, I hope all the networks cover it. And I also hope that people will finally see that what the Durham report did was validate what Donald Trump's concerns were, that this whole thing was a hoax, that he didn't have anything to do with Russia. But Hillary did. It was her campaign who paid for the fake dossier. It was her campaign, Democrats, and the highest levels of the FBI, the White House, and the intel community under Obama, when he was president, that knew all about this and knew it was phony, but they kept pushing it anyway. And the New York Times, Washington Post got Pulitzer Prize for reporting on something that was an outright lie. And I also hope that it finally excoriates people like James Comey, Merrick Garland, and other people in the Justice Department and the FBI who absolutely did what should never have been done, and that was an attempted coup d'etat against an elected sitting president of the United States. There's never been a greater scandal than what has happened through this whole process with Donald Trump.
Well, we certainly will be covering it right here. Governor Mike Huckabee, a pleasure to have you in. Thank you so much for joining us.
Governor. Great to see you.
John, Bianca, thank you both. Great to talk to you.
You too.
Thank you.